If I'd just gone to bed when he did, none of this would have happened. But I stayed downstairs. Just 5 more minutes of scrolling. Just one more scene of the movie. And that's when she walked in. It was almost midnight. The house was dark, except for the flickering light of the TV. The hum of the fridge blended with the quiet buzz of the floor lamp. My friend had gone upstairs nearly an hour ago, yawning, mumbling something about an early shift. I stayed behind, sunk into the couch cushions, half watching some classic noir film he'd left on. It didn't even have sound, subtitles only. That's how quiet the house was. And then I heard her footsteps. Soft, barefoot, not rushed. I sat up instinctively. She appeared from the hallway, wearing just an oversized gray t-shirt and holding a glass of red wine, the rim catching a sliver of TV light. "Didn't think you'd still be up," she said, voice low, casual. Her eyes landed on me for half a second too long. "Mind if I join?" I gestured to the couch automatically. "Sure." She sat down close, not touching, but enough that I could feel the warmth off her bare thigh. The cushions shifted under her weight, and her scent, something soft, like jasmine or vanilla, found its way into the air between us. We didn't speak for a while. The movie played on, black and white shadows moving across the screen. She sipped her wine slowly, crossed her legs, the t-shirt riding a little higher. I tried not to look, but I did. And when I did, I found her already glancing sideways at me. Her lips curved, just a little. "You like these old films?" "Not really," I admitted. "Just too lazy to turn it off." She chuckled. "I like them. They're slow but sharp. Every word means something." Her knee shifted. It brushed mine. I froze, not dramatically, just internally. She didn't flinch or apologize. Just kept sipping, eyes forward, like nothing had happened. But I felt it, and I knew she knew I felt it too. "You can relax," she said without looking at me. "He's asleep." That boy could sleep through an earthquake. It wasn't what she said, it was how she said it. Like it was meant to unlock something. Like it was permission. Cleared my throat. "Yeah." He passed out pretty fast. Another sip. Another silence. "You've grown," she said suddenly. That made me turn my head. "Huh." She smiled, slow, amused. "Since high school. You used to come over all skinny and shy. Now look at you." I didn't know what to say. I laughed awkwardly. "I guess." She tilted her head, studying me like I was a new version of something she used to know. "Some things change," she said, voice softer now. "Some don't." The room felt smaller. The TV flickered. A shadow moved across someone's face on screen. For a moment, I forgot what movie it even was. Then a sound broke the tension. A footstep. Not hers. Not mine. Upstairs. We both turned toward the ceiling instinctively. Another step, then nothing. Silence again. She leaned in slightly and whispered, "He walks in his sleep sometimes. Don't worry." But I was worried. I shifted like I was about to stand. "Maybe I should head up too." Her hand reached out, light on my wrist. Not tight, not pulling, just touching. "Don't," she said. "It's just a movie. You're not doing anything wrong." That was the moment it changed. The moment something unspoken became real, with a rule to follow. No one else finds out. Nothing happens unless we both pretend it didn't. Her hand stayed there for one more beat before letting go. She leaned back, but didn't move away. Her thigh brushed mine again, and this time I didn't flinch. My phone buzzed. A text from him. "Yo, you still up?" She glanced at the screen, then at me. Her smile didn't fade. "Tell him you're about to turn in." I typed, "Yeah, just finishing the movie. Going up now." But I didn't move. She took another sip, then set her glass down. "Or you could wait till the next scene ends," she said. I nodded slowly and stayed. It was past midnight when I woke again. The rain had started soft, steady, brushing the windows in rhythmic taps. The TV was off now, and the house was dark. I could hear only the faint hum of the fridge and the occasional creak of the old floorboards above. My friend's door. His sleep was heavy but not silent. I got up quietly and made my way to the kitchen. The air was cooler there, heavy with the scent of last night's wine and detergent. I filled a glass of water from the filter and leaned against the counter, trying not to think about what had just almost happened downstairs hours earlier. Then I heard the same soft footsteps again. Barefoot. Familiar. She appeared in the doorway, wearing a thin cardigan over that same t-shirt, her hair slightly messy as if she'd just come from bed. The dim under-cabinet light caught the faint sheen of her skin. She smiled, half asleep, half something else. "Couldn't sleep either?" she asked. I shook my head. "Too warm upstairs." She murmured, opening a cabinet. "That house always holds heat. Drives me crazy." She took a bottle of red wine from the counter, the same one from last night, and poured herself another half glass. Then, without asking, she grabbed another glass and filled it too. She pushed it toward me. "Just one," she said, "to help you sleep." I hesitated. "I'm not really. It's just a sip," she cut in, her tone teasing but soft. I took it. The wine tasted like berries and something darker, maybe cinnamon, or maybe just nerves. She leaned on the counter beside me, her arm brushing mine. "You always were polite," she said. "You still are. That's rare." I looked down, trying to find words, but the sound of rain filled the pause. Then something fell, a faint clink. I looked over. She was holding a small matchbox, white, worn, with gold lettering that read "The Golden Fig." "What's that?" I asked. She rolled it between her fingers. "A place I used to go. Years ago. A jazz bar downtown. Still smells like smoke and regret, probably." She smiled faintly, then placed the matchbox on the counter between us. "Keep it," she said. "Souvenir from a bad habit." I picked it up, curious. On the back, written in faint pen, was a number. Not a phone number, a date. May 12th. "What's this?" She shrugged. "A reminder. The last night I did something impulsive." Something flickered in her eyes. Memory, maybe guilt, maybe excitement. Then, footsteps again. This time heavier. Upstairs. The kind that make the air still. Her face froze. She mouthed silently, "Don't move." We waited, motionless. The steps stopped, then a door closed. The rain filled the silence again. Her breath finally came out, soft, shaky. "See?" she whispered. "He's always half awake." Her voice was lower now, closer. She was still leaning toward me, her shoulder almost against mine. "He doesn't like me drinking," she said suddenly, almost bitter. "Thinks it means I'm lonely." "Are you?" I asked quietly. She turned her head. The space between us felt electric. "Tonight?" she said. "Maybe less than usual." For a second, it felt like something could happen right there, between the rain, the glass, and her scent. Her hand rested on the counter, inches from mine. I could feel the warmth radiating from her skin. Then her phone buzzed, vibrating on the counter. She flinched. The screen lit up. "Mark? You awake?" Her son. Her eyes darted from the phone to me. Then she smiled quickly, too quickly. "I should answer that," she said, voice back to calm. But her hand trembled slightly as she grabbed the phone. She typed fast, "All good. Go back to sleep." Then she looked at me, softer now. "You should too." I nodded, but I didn't move. Neither did she. The rain got heavier, tapping like fingers against glass. Finally, she reached forward and brushed the matchbox back toward me. "If you can't sleep tomorrow night," she said, "the couch is still free." She smiled, turned off the light, and disappeared into the dark hallway. I stood there, the matchbox warm in my palm, the faint scent of wine still in the air, and one thought echoing louder than the rain outside. Tomorrow night, same couch. I was halfway down the stairs when I saw her again. It was Saturday night, a little after 10. The house was quiet. Friend upstairs gaming in his room, headset on, door closed. I could hear the soft rhythm of his voice through the ceiling. Downstairs, the lights were low. Just the floor lamp in the corner was on. She was already there on the couch, legs folded under her, a blanket draped lazily across her lap. Same oversized shirt. Same calm, unreadable expression, like she'd been waiting. "You're late," she said with a small smile, sipping from a new glass of wine. "I wasn't sure if—" I trailed off. "If I meant it?" she offered. I didn't answer. She patted the spot next to her. "Movie's just starting." I sat, not as close as last time, but closer than I should have. She didn't speak right away. We both pretended to watch the film. Something old again, black and white, full of quiet moments and long stares. Her leg brushed mine under the blanket. She didn't move away. I felt her looking at me. When I finally turned, her eyes didn't flinch. "You brought it?" she asked. Took me a second to realize what she meant. I reached into my hoodie pocket and pulled out the matchbox. She took it gently, held it in her palm for a moment, then opened it. Still empty. Then she looked at me, longer this time, more deliberate. "You kept it," she said. Not a question. I nodded. She traced a finger along the edge of the matchbox. "You ever light a match for no reason?" "No. Sometimes," she said. "It's the only way to feel something burn without watching it fall apart." Her words hung in the air. I wasn't sure how to respond. Didn't need to. She leaned in slightly, like gravity pulled her closer. Her shoulder touched mine. Her hand brushed against the back of my neck. Featherlight. "Are you going to kiss me?" she asked, barely audible. I was about to, leaning forward, caught in something I couldn't name, when the floor creaked upstairs. We froze. Another creak. Then a muffled voice. "Mom!" It was him. We jolted apart. She pulled the blanket higher, adjusted her shirt. I nearly tripped standing up. Footsteps came down the stairs. Her son appeared in the doorway, barefoot, holding his phone. He looked between us. I was standing, hands in my pockets. She was curled up on the couch, glass in hand, eyes casual. "What's going on?" he asked. "Movie," she said easily. "You want to join?" He frowned, suspicious. "Didn't think you were into these old films, dude." I shrugged. She said it was worth seeing. He stood there for a moment, then scratched his head. "Whatever. I'm getting a snack." He passed us, walked into the kitchen, opened the fridge. We sat in silence, hearts pounding. She didn't look at me, just kept her gaze on the screen. He came back a minute later with a bottle of soda and a bag of chips. "I'm going back up," he said, then added with a smirk, "Don't keep my mom up all night, man." He was gone before I could reply. I turned to her. Her face was unreadable, but her fingers were clenched tightly around the matchbox. She didn't speak, just looked at me. Then she reached for a folded napkin on the coffee table and a pen. She wrote something quickly, folded it twice, and slid it into my pocket without a word. She stood, gathered the blanket, and walked down the hall to her room. I sat there, alone, pulse still racing. Then I unfolded the napkin. 3 words. Midnight, patio door. The next day felt longer than it should have. The house was filled with noise, the sound of the blender, music from upstairs, the smell of toast and coffee. Everything ordinary, everything pretending. She acted like nothing had happened. At breakfast, she didn't look at me once. She asked her son how work was, if he'd paid his phone bill, if he'd eaten enough. Her tone was calm, almost distant. I sat across the table, pretending my pulse wasn't pounding every time her eyes passed near mine. When I finally looked up, she was already on her phone. Her voice changed brighter, polite. Yes, the papers were signed weeks ago. No, he hasn't called since. She hung up fast when she caught me glancing. Her son didn't notice. I did. That afternoon, I was supposed to meet some friends in town, but I lied, told them I was sick, told my mom too, when she texted to ask if I'd be home for dinner. Staying another night, I wrote, helping with some stuff. Then I turned my phone off. The rain returned by evening, soft and steady again, like it was waiting for something too. At 11:57, I slipped quietly down the stairs. My friend's door was closed, light still on beneath it. The sound of a game, muffled voices, laughter through his headset, safe cover noise. I opened the patio door. She was there, standing just under the overhang, barefoot, wrapped in a thin robe, holding 2 mugs of tea. The glow from the kitchen window behind her outlined her figure in warm light. Her hair was damp, like she'd been standing in the rain for a while. "You came," she said softly. "I wasn't sure I should." "Neither was I." She smiled faintly. "And yet here we are." I stepped out beside her. The air smelled of wet grass and rain. The deck boards were slick under my feet. For a while we didn't talk. We just listened, the rain on the roof, the hum of the streetlight at the end of the driveway. Then she said, "You know, I haven't done this in years." "Waited for someone?" She laughed quietly. "No, let someone notice me." I looked at her, not understanding. She sipped her tea, her hands trembling just enough to notice. "I used to be someone," she said. "Had a life, a job I loved, a marriage that looked perfect from the outside. Then it ended. Quietly, he left, said he needed something real, whatever that meant." I didn't interrupt. "After that," she continued, "I learned to play a part, the good mother, the calm neighbor, the one who doesn't break the rules." Her eyes found mine again. "Until you showed up." The silence that followed wasn't empty. It felt heavy, full of all the things we weren't allowed to say. She took a small step closer. Her robe brushed against my arm. "You remind me," she whispered, "what it felt like before I stopped feeling anything at all." Her hand lifted slightly, hesitating in the air, then landed on my chest, just resting there, warm, steady. Could have gone further. It almost did. But then, a flash of light. From inside the house, we both turned. Someone had turned on the kitchen light. Her son's silhouette passed the window, blurry through the rain, but unmistakable. He poured a drink from the fridge, looked around, then turned off the light again. We didn't breathe until the glow disappeared. She lowered her hand. "He's starting to notice," she whispered. "I'll go," I said quickly, "before it gets worse." She caught my wrist. Not hard, just enough to stop me. "No, if you go now, it'll never stop feeling unfinished." Her words hung there, and I realized this wasn't a game to her anymore. I swallowed. "So what happens now?" She reached into her robe pocket and pulled something out. The matchbox, the same one. She opened it. Inside wasn't empty anymore. A small key. She pressed it into my palm. "For the guest room," she said quietly. "Tomorrow night, if you still want to." Before I could answer, She stepped back into the rain, eyes fixed on me. "Go inside," she whispered. "He can't see us together." I watched her disappear into the shadows between the falling drops, the faint sound of the back door closing behind her. I stood there a moment longer, clutching the matchbox in my hand, heartbeat echoing in the dark. Then I looked down at the key, small, silver, cold, and I knew what it meant. The house was darker than usual that night. Sunday, quiet, still, the kind of still that makes you second-guess every breath. I waited until after midnight. My friend had fallen asleep early. I could hear the white noise of a podcast playing through his phone behind the closed door upstairs. Downstairs, nothing moved. I stood at the top of the staircase for a long time, holding the matchbox in one hand, the small key in the other. Cold metal against my skin. No text, no confirmation, just trust, just silence. I descended the stairs slowly, socked feet quiet on the wood. The guest room was near the end of the hallway, past the living room, past the family photos. The one room that had always been closed. But tonight, the door was open. Not wide, just enough to see a light on inside. A low lamp, the glow amber and warm. I paused in front of it. Inside, she sat at the edge of the bed, still in that thin robe, hair down around her shoulders. Her hands were folded in her lap, her posture perfectly still, like she'd been waiting without moving. When she saw me, she didn't smile. She just nodded once. I stepped in and closed the door gently behind me. No words, no explanations, just two people facing what they both already chose. She stood, walked over. Her hand rested on my chest again, this time with no hesitation. Her lips brushed my cheek, slow, deliberate, and then she kissed me. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't soft. It was real. 1 week later, I walked past their house again. I wasn't supposed to. I told myself I wouldn't. But my route from work cut near the block, and some part of me wanted to know if everything had shifted or stayed exactly the same. From the outside, it looked normal. Windows open, curtains dancing with the breeze, a lawn chair set out beneath the tree, a wind chime, and her, kneeling by the garden bed, gloves on, pulling at weeds. She didn't look up until I slowed my steps. When she did, her expression didn't change. Just a flicker, the kind only I would notice. A breath held between memories. I almost kept walking, but she stood, brushed off her hands, walked toward the edge of the driveway without a word. And when she reached me, she didn't say hello, didn't ask how I'd been. She simply pressed something into my palm, quick, discreet, and turned back toward the house. I looked down. The matchbox, same one, but this time it was empty. No key, no note, just the shape of something that had already been used. I turned it over once, then slipped it into my jacket. As I walked away, I didn't look back, but I knew without a doubt that door never really closed.